everyone, I'm Dr. Jill, giving you big answers to life's big questions. Today we are looking at the big question, how did it all begin? Have you ever made a chain reaction before, like mine, which you just watched? What started the chain reaction that I made? It was me pushing the marble to get it started. Once I pushed the marble, it started a series of events or reactions that continued to happen. For a chain reaction to start, it needs something or someone outside of the chain to get it started. This chain reaction of events would not have happened without me pushing the marble to get it started. In a similar way, we could think of our universe like a chain reaction. And today, we are going to look at what started the universe. Like our marble chain reaction, we will see that it took someone outside of the universe to cause the universe to begin. Before we begin, let's do a quick review of some of the big words we have learned so far. I am going to put 3 words up on the screen, and I want you to try to match them with the correct definition. Ready? Secular means not religious. Naturalism believes that matter or the physical world is all that exists. These are the things we can see, smell, touch, taste, and hear. Postmodernism believes that we cannot know what is real, so we invent our own truth about the world. Today, I am going to teach you a new big word. The word is cosmological. Cosmological means studying what the universe is and how it began. Today, I'm going to teach you an argument about the beginning of the universe called the Cosmological Argument. This is an argument about how the universe began. First, I am going to explain what an argument is. An argument, like the one we are going to look at today, is made up of 2 statements called premises and a conclusion. If the first 2 statements in the argument are true, then the conclusion follows. Let's look at an example. I will give you 2 statements and then you see if you can guess the conclusion. Premise 1. All dogs have a good sense of smell. Premise 2. Bailey is a dog. What's the conclusion? Therefore, Bailey has a good sense of smell. In arguments like this one, as long as the 2 premises or statements are true, then the conclusion follows, or the conclusion is also true. We call this a sound argument or a good argument. If one of the premises is not true, then it is an unsound argument or a bad argument, because it means the conclusion might not be true. Now I'm going to show you the cosmological argument, and you see if you can guess the conclusion. Premise 1. Whatever begins to exist has a cause. Premise 2. The universe began to exist. What's the conclusion? Therefore, the universe has a cause. Now, I believe that this argument is so important that I want you to memorize it. So I'm going to teach you a song to the tune of London Bridges to help you remember the argument. It goes like this. Whatever begins to exist has a cause, has a cause. The universe began to exist, therefore it has a cause. Let's practice that one more time, and then we will talk about what this argument means and how it helps us answer our big question. How did it all begin? All right, sing with me. Whatever begins to exist has a cause, has a cause. The universe began to exist, therefore it has a cause. So premise 1 says whatever begins to exist has a cause. Remember, for an argument to be a good or sound argument, the first 2 premises or statements have to be true. Let's look at the first statement. Whatever begins to exist has a cause. Do you agree with this premise? Think of something that exists. It can be anything. What about a beautiful waterfall, an ice cream sundae, or my dog Chip? Now ask yourself, has this thing always existed, and does it have a cause? Let's think about the 3 examples I gave. Has a waterfall always existed, and does it have a cause? A waterfall has not always existed. It hasn't been there forever, and yes, it has a cause. What causes a waterfall? Well, it's caused by water over time running down a river or stream. The water erodes away at the banks until eventually a waterfall is created. Now, how about an ice cream sundae? Has it always existed, and does it have a cause? Of course it has not always existed, and it has a cause. It has been made by a person, like me. Now, how about my dog Chip? My dog Chip has not always existed, and he has a cause. He came from a mom and a dad dog. Can you see now that our first premise is true? Whatever begins to exist has a cause. Things like waterfalls, ice cream sundaes, and dogs do not just pop into existence from nothing, but something happens that causes them to come into existence. Let's look now at premise 2. The universe began to exist. Did you know that some people used to think that the universe was eternal, which means it did not have a beginning, but it has been here forever? That's how people who didn't believe in God, we call these people atheists, this is how they would explain how the universe got here. They would say that it has just always been here, so it doesn't need to have a cause. But in recent years, scientists have made many discoveries that show that the universe does have a beginning. It has not always been here, and we know from our first premise that if something begins to exist, it must have a cause. Today, we are going to talk about one of these discoveries that shows us that the universe has a beginning. This is the discovery that the universe is expanding. I have a balloon here with 2 dots on it. I have a ruler here. You probably can't see it very well, but we're just going to measure how far apart these 2 dots are. So, according to my ruler here, these 2 dots are about 4 millimeters apart. I want you to watch what happens to these 2 dots as I blow up the balloon. You ready? Watch. What happened to the 2 dots? They're kind of hard to see because they're really big now, but the 2 dots are actually right here and right here. Look how big those dots got. Now, what do you think happened? They got bigger, and they also got further apart. Now, in case you don't believe me that the dots are further apart, let's just measure them again right now. So before they were 4 millimeters. Whoa! Now my dots are about 15 millimeters apart. So just by blowing up my balloon, my dots spread out, they're expanding, and they are 3 times as far apart as they were before. Pretty cool, huh? This balloon, believe it or not, shows what is happening with the universe. That's right, this balloon shows what's happening. Scientists have now discovered that the universe is expanding, which means that things in the universe are getting farther apart as they move away from each other. So they're moving away from each other, like my 2 fingers, and getting farther apart. Just like the 2 dots in our balloon. Now, if the universe is expanding and things are getting farther apart, that means that they used to be closer together. Just like if I let the air out of my balloon. Should I do that? Let's let the air out. Did you see what happens to my dots as I let the air out? Yeah, my dots got closer together again. Now, if we were able to go back in time, we could see everything in the universe coming back together into a single point, which represents the beginning of the universe. Atheists, people who don't believe in God, used to say that God didn't create the universe, it has just always been here, it's always existed. But atheists can't say that anymore, because now we know that the universe has a beginning. If the universe has a beginning, and everything that begins to exist has a cause, then the universe must have a cause. This is the conclusion of our argument. Therefore, the universe has a cause. Now let's think about this. What could cause the universe? Think about that for a second. For something to be able to cause the universe, it needs to be able to be something that doesn't take up space, something that is spaceless or non-physical. So anything that's physical, like my Sharpie marker here, it has mass or weight. You could weigh it. You could measure it. You could see how long it is. You could measure it around. You could see how wide it is. So it takes up space. My balloon takes up space, right? We could measure it. We could weigh it. Okay, but for something to cause the universe, since the universe is the beginning of physical things, it has to be something non-physical, something that doesn't take up space, doesn't have weight, you can't measure it, it's non-physical. Okay, because before the universe was created, there was no physical space. It also needs to be something that is outside of time, or something that has always existed, something that doesn't have a beginning, because if it has a beginning, it has to have a cause, and then it can't cause the universe. So it has to be timeless. And it would also need to be something very powerful to be able to create the universe. Now, can you think of anything that fits this description? Anything that is spaceless, timeless, non-physical, and very powerful? God. Can you think of anything else besides God that fits this description? No, nothing else fits this description. Remember the book we read called One Day a Dot that gave an example of what naturalists believe? In that book, the authors explained how all sorts of things came to be, and they talked about everything coming from one little dot. This theory is known as the Big Bang Theory. You might have heard of it before. This theory says that the universe started as this tiny, tiny little dot that was packed with energy and then exploded. But the book says that the one thing we don't know is where that first tiny little dot came from. But as Christians, we know where that dot came from. Whether you believe the universe formed over a long, long period of time, like in the Big Bang Theory, or you believe that the universe formed in a short period of time, Christians everywhere all believe that God is the one who caused the universe to begin. God is the one who pushed the marble or started the chain of events that created our universe, our world, and eventually me and you. To have a big bang, you need to have a big banger. That is someone or something to start the explosion. God is the only cause sufficient to begin the universe. So how did it all begin? Naturalists and postmodernists both say we don't know how it began. It might have begun with a tiny little dot, but we don't know how the first dot got there. The Bible teaches that God is the beginning of the universe. Colossians 1:15-17 says, "The Son is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn over all creation. For in him all things were created, things in heaven and on earth, visible and invisible, whether thrones or powers or rulers or authority, all things have been created through him and for him. He is before all things, and in him all things hold together." God was there before all things, and he holds everything together. This is supported by the cosmological argument, which shows us that since the universe has a beginning, it has to have a cause. And God is the only one capable of causing the universe because he is spaceless, timeless, and very powerful. Let's practice our song for the cosmological argument one more time. Whatever begins to exist has a cause, has a cause. The universe began to exist, therefore it has a cause. Thanks for watching, kids. I want you to go and see if you can explain the cosmological argument to your mom and dad. They'll be really impressed. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.